lights are on. It's all to race for.
Lovely work coming out of the hairpin. Yes! Oh, he's hit him.
Oh, he's taken two.
What a move! And he takes victory.
Okay, welcome along to the F1 Esports Pro exhibition here, where it's time for our esports stars to show off their skills. Now, it is an exhibition, but do not fear. These guys are as competitive as they come, so they will not be holding back. And taking me through all of the action tonight with me on the desk is the one and only Mr. Matt Gallagher. Matt, we welcome back these pro stars. They really do have the skills, I'm going to say it, to pay the bills. They are the top guys. They're going to be performing tonight, and this is going to be brilliant racing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen a fantastic race, and I think this one will be closer. You know, these are all F1 Esports stars. They are within tenths, especially around Melbourne. You know, it's a very, very tight circuit. It's so close in qualifying. I imagine that's what we'll see quite quickly with this 18-minute quali coming up. But I think genuinely it's going to be a brilliant race, and I'm very intrigued to see how some of the guys have developed their skills from last time when we finished off the last season.
Yeah, indeed. Now, when we have a look at the format, just to remind everybody, it was December that we watched David Tonizza lift the F1 Esports Pro Series trophy, and we head to this 18-minute session. The race will get into the Albert Park circuit, 25% race length. Is that enough time for them to really put their foot down and show off their skills in this?
Well, this is what they usually have for the F1 Esports Pro Series, so they'll be accustomed to it, but they also need to make some moves stick pretty quickly. We've seen that, you know, if you're further down the field from qualifying, you need to make your moves quickly, but also don't make mistakes, otherwise you'll fall even further back, and that'll be a big problem. There's obviously damage on as well, no assists, so these guys are, you know, at the top tier.
Yeah, top tier. Loads of them are streaming progressively all the time. Some of these guys that we'll see now, actually, when we look at the lineup of drivers. For Alfa Romeo, of course, Daniel Berezny is there. James Baldwin, the world's fastest gamer, it joins Daniel Berezny. Patrick Holson, Marcel Kiefer. These are familiar names. And then, of course, the 2019 winner of the F1 Esports Pro Series, David Tonizza for FDA Hublot Esports team. Out of those drivers, some of them with familiar names in the esports world.
Absolutely, yeah. They've kind of moved around a little bit. They've swapped some teams there, which is interesting. So I'm actually keen to see how Enzo Benito does against the F1 Esports champion David Tonizza, because Ferrari, you know, FDA Hublot, sorry, they were kind of struggling a little bit with their second teammate. It wasn't really performing on the points level, whereas Enzo Benito, you know, he very much proved himself at McLaren. Will we see a 1-2 for Ferrari? Who knows? Yeah,
we could do. Listen, David Tonizza came through the scene, wasn't picked in the pro draft for 2018, was picked in 2019 and shot straight to the top. And FDA Hublot Esports, they knew they had a winner there. It's surprising that no other team picked him up or even attempted to, and they didn't in the 2018. He's proved he is a very capable driver, but the target's on his back now.
Absolutely, yeah. He came out of the blocks completely out of nowhere. Nobody really expected it. He took so many victories right at the beginning of the season and then just held on to that points lead just about by the end. So I'm not surprised he hasn't changed teams. It's a dream for him to be part of that team. So David Tonizza, you know, they'll be looking to make sure he doesn't get pole and run away with this one. But you've got all the guys, and the key thing here, less pressure in the fact that they're all at home. They've all got their comfortable home rigs, which they therefore cannot complain about as to whether or not their brakes aren't set up properly or their pillow's not right. So for this, they're all in exactly where they want to be, and David Tonizza will be next to his mascot, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's for those who are unfamiliar, David Tonizza has his mascot T-Rex, so he's known as Tonzilla in this magnificent Gfinity arena that we've got down here in the studio. Interesting enough, he was pushed at times by Freddie Rasmussen. He's going to be racing. When we look at the lineup for the other drivers on the grid today, Mercedes, that man, two-time winner of the F1 Esports Pro Series, Brendan Lee. He's joined by Bono Huis, and we've known and other streams that are going on and other races that are taking place because of the current situation. He's a very fast driver, and maybe that move will help Bono Huis.
Absolutely. I mean, Bono Huis is one of the best, if not the best, all-round racing drivers on any platform. He just hasn't got the F1 2019 game, those last couple of tenths that he needed in the last few seasons. But, you know, it's a great lineup. I'm actually really intrigued because, as I say, less pressure. I think some of these guys that maybe don't perform on the big stage may be up the front tonight.
Yeah, indeed, and I'm enjoying the background for Lucas Blakely and Danny Hadid there. Both going for the brick wall. Love that. Nice stuff. Right then, let's have a look at Freddy Rasmussen. We know he's quick. We know he's fast. Not the most talkative driver. I will say that you will get 1 or 2 worded answers in response to your question, but that doesn't matter because he is fast on the track, and he leaves us talking for what he achieves on the track.
Absolutely, you know, he's an interviewer's nightmare, but he's also a nightmare on the track for a lot of the drivers. He is so quick, so consistent, and you know, he is as good as Tonizza, as good as anybody else in this field, and I would expect him to be right up the front again. Depends how much practice he's put in, but I imagine everyone being at home, these guys have been pounding the simulators as much as possible, so it should be very, very close this evening.
Yeah, do you reckon any of them have snacks? Any little supplies at the side ready?
Maybe, like throw them into their mouths or something? Or?
Well, I don't know, but that would require a team assistant. Engineering, when they're pitting, maybe just a couple of snacks.
They're at home with their family, maybe?
Yeah, of course. These guys take it incredibly seriously. I watched the last week, just watching Marcel Kiefer, just been out there streaming all the time, just as one example. Yoni Tormolo as well in Red Bull. But listen, 2 guys who did a fantastic job in the Vietnam Virtual Grand Prix. They're with us. They're in the commentary area. It's Jack Nichols, Alex Jakes. Gentlemen, this is going to be very exciting.
Yes, it is. Really looking forward to it, actually, Tom. We've seen these guys racing for 3 years now in the F1 Esports Pro Series, a lot of them, and this exhibition race is going to be fun because there's not a huge amount on the line other than bragging rights, you know, and usually you're in a sort of championship scenario and everybody's got to be sensible, but tonight, Alex Jakes, have it.
They can go for it, off the leash, and ready to attack this Albert Park circuit. And the conditions have got a lot worse in the last few minutes since we were last at Albert Park. This will be really, really interesting to see who picks it up, and will be good to see the Pro Sim standard compared to what we've just watched.
So, provisional pole position at the moment is Freddy Rasmussen, who has been one of the title contenders the last 2 years, closest to stopping Brendan Lee and David Tonizza, but unable to beat them to a F1 Esports Pro Series title. Cedric Thome is currently in 3rd position. Then it's, Thome. Fabrizio Donoso Delgado is in 5th place. Nicolas Longuet just goes up into 2nd spot. He was with Red Bull last year, but has made the switch to Renault. You might remember him coming in at Monza and being very impressive, running up at the front of the order for the Red Bull team, but now he's with Renault. But we're on board with the 2-time champ, Brendan Lee, from just outside of Reading, on the run down into the first corner. Swings it into turn 1. Struggled a little last year, but is looking to get back on top of things in this 2020 season, in this opening exhibition race of the year.
So having been so dominant for 2 years, what do you think was behind that slight dip in form from Brendan Lee in the Esports Series 1 year ago?
I think the game was raised a lot of the time, and I mean that not as in the physical game, I mean that it is in the metaphorical game. I think everybody just got a bit more on top of things, and Lee didn't. He dominated the season, but only because he was very consistent. He would win races, don't get me wrong, but he was always at the front of the order, whereas he would get kind of random people attacking him at every race. So even if he was beaten, it would be by someone who was 5th or 6th in the championship. Last year, David Tonizza in particular burst out of the blocks, and Lee had some strong races, but he usually found himself in the sort of lower reaches of the top 10. So he's a fascinating study, because he went from right up there to kind of nowhere as he returns to the pits.
And this is a good event to get that confidence that you can compete at the front when we get underway properly in 2020. He's headed back to the pits, so look, fairly committed lap with Rasmussen still the fastest on a 1:19.2, but he came into the pits.
Look how tight the field is, Jakesy.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. That is absolutely ridiculous. Kevin Siggy there at the bottom, but above that, that is exactly what we want to see. And, well, this is going to be marginal stuff.
Certainly is. We're watching David Tonizza then. Tonzilla coming into the right-hander of turn 13. Ferrari Driver Academy racer, winning races last weekend in GT cars around Monza. And now here, 4th on the grid currently for the Ferrari team in the Formula 1 game. Across the line comes Tonizza, provisional pole position, 1 minute 19.113. Floris Fiers in the Haas had got up into 2nd place. Freddie Rasmussen and Nicolas Longuet have done exactly the same lap time. Enzo Benito, who was with McLaren last year, has now joined the Ferrari squad and is now up into 5th place. And James Baldwin in 8th, Fabrizio Donoso Delgado in 9th, Patrick Holtzman in 10th. Good to see Fabrizio Donoso back, actually, because I think he missed last season. Having been runner-up to Brendan Lee in Season 1, he has now returned with the Renault squad. As we go on board with Nicolas Longuet, the Frenchman, who's on his outlap. No lap time yet from Alvaro Caraton, Marcel Kiefer and Yoni Tormala, but I think they all are out on the circuit now.
So Brendan Lee in the way for Longuet. Not a problem right now, but we will see whether he is able to get the track position. Given the margin from Tonizza's pole position down to outside the top 10, you're definitely going to need space in the remaining just under 7 minutes of this session.
Freddie Rasmussen in the Red Bull goes to the top of the times at 1:18.803. So he's picked 0.3 of a second out of David Tonizza there. That is very impressive stuff for Freddie Rasmussen on provisional pole position. This is his teammate, the Finn, Yoni Tormala, coming down into turn 1. And we'll see what he can do. There's a yellow flag out there in Sector 3. Tormala, a front runner in the F1 Esports Pro Series over the years, was very impressive in the very first F1 Esports sort of qualification rounds at Silverstone. He won most of those races before the actual season got underway in Season 1, but haven't really seen him mount a title fight. What can he do on his first lap in qualifying? 6 minutes left on the clock. Most of the drivers in the pits at the moment, so I think Tormala's gone for trying to find a bit of quiet time on track.
Immaculate stuff so far for the driver that has yet to post a time. On to Lakeside Drive we go, with Rasmussen lowering the bar even further. 1:18.8, very impressive indeed. And everyone will need to respond. Plenty of drivers still in the pits, including current front row starter David Tonizza, the reigning champion in the Esports Series. And Rasmussen getting out of the way of his teammate for today. So it's looked hooked up all the way through the lap. Without the clock, you never really know, especially when the margins are so fine like they are. Up through the gears, over the line. Where does this lap put him? Just outside the top 10. He's in 11th position.
Okay, so that means that we have our 20 drivers to have set a lap time. Kevin Siggy is the slowest of them, a man more used to racing in other games as opposed to F1 2019, so maybe taking a bit of time to get up to pace. In the McLaren Shadow, down in 20th place, his teammate is Sally Sautunk, who's in 17th spot. As we go on board with Marcel Kiefer, Brendan Lee just stuck at 4th. So good lap from Brendan Lee, up into 4th place, ahead of Nicolas Longuet, as we go on board, as I say, with German Marcel Kiefer, formerly at the Racing Point team, now at Toro Rosso or Alpha Tauri, and he's running in 8th spot at the moment. Don't think this is a push lap here from Marcel Kiefer. I think he's on his way back to the pits.
This is the driver who was 5th in 2018 and 6th last year in the overall standings.
Very good hair. I always like Marcel Kiefer's hair.
We'll let him know.
Yeah. Enzo Benito on an outlap in the other Ferrari. He and David Tonizza in that GT race I mentioned last weekend both took victories in their respective races. A very impressive duo for the Ferrari team as Benito swings the left and the right. He's on an outlap at the moment, trying to find some space on the circuit before starting another flying lap, what might be his last flying lap, with 3.5 minutes to go. The sun's coming through, isn't it? So I imagine the track conditions are getting better. Freddie Rasmussen, David Tonizza and Floris Fias all in the pits at the moment, waiting for the last minute to go out. Brendan Lee returning to the pits, so he'll get one more run. I reckon about 2.5 minutes to go. We'll see all of those top 3, 4 or 5 go out onto the circuit. In 6th position, that is Daniel Berezne, in the name Veloce Formula Danny, probably. Daniel Berezne, former teammate at Brendan Lee, at Mercedes to Brendan Lee, and he's now part of the Veloce squad, and he's currently in 6th on an outlap. Across the line comes Fabrizio Donoso, 3rd place. Good lap there from the Chilean.
The returnee, after finishing runner-up in 2017.
We hung out last year.
Is that right?
In Santiago.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, I say we hung out. He tweeted me saying, any chance of some free tickets to the Formula E?
Oh, no.
And then I gave him the tickets. Never saw him again.
Horribly, horribly used.
Fabrizio.
And to rub salt in the wounds, he's doing brilliantly here as well. Hey.
No, I like him. He's a nice kid. I wouldn't have given it to anyone, you know? I wouldn't have given the tickets to anyone. If Bono Quiz is asking me for tickets, I'm saying nah.
Not a chance.
Nah, Bono.
Not a chance. What's Bono done to you, Jack?
What's Bono done to me?
What's Bono done to you?
In. Ow, 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 ow. That's the other Bono. 2 minutes left on the clock. Not the beautiful day Bono either. All the Bonos. Right, here we go then. Patrick Holtzman ramping up for a lap. Former finalist at the Visa Vegas E-race a few years ago. And now he starts a flying lap with 2 minutes left on the clock. Down in towards turn 1. Down to 5th, back on the power. 0.6 of a second away from pole position at the moment, Holtzman. Brendan Lee keeping well out of the way on the inside of turn 3. Not all over the apex at the right-hander there for Holtzman. Fabrizio Donoso is in the pits then, so that's his last effort of the session. Freddie Rasmussen on provisional pole, racing from home this week, so Rosanna Tennant can't get near him. And there goes Michael Romani up into 3rd place. Good lap from the Williams driver. Donoso drops to 4th. We're on board with Holtzman, but these lap times are going to tumble in these last few minutes.
Yellow flag ahead, though. Changes as he gets there.
Someone's had a bit of a spin, haven't they? It's Nicholas Longuet.
Has had the issue. And they're queuing up here.
Yeah, some are trying to find space to start their flying lap, aren't they? Just as Patrick Holtzman is finishing it. So a little bit of traffic for the German. Back end steps out a little. Holtzman across the line. Does he improve? Only up to 11th place for Patrick Holtzman. Half a minute left on the clock then. We got Rasmussen, Tonizza out there on laps. Floris Vias out there too. Let's watch the reigning F1 Esports Pro Series champion David Tonizza down into turn 3 in the Ferrari.
So about 0.3 of a second to find then for Tonizza. David Tonizza and ran with it. Usually his mascot. And he's got himself bumped off the front row there. So now 2 drivers in the 118s. Bit of a pressure lap then. Can he respond? We've seen the standard. Everyone neat, tidy, immaculate. You've got to take good speed through the final part of the lap. You can't leave anything on the table here. Oh. And it did not look as if he did. Checkered flag is out. This is the last opportunity to improve. On board the Ferrari Driver Academy team. Kevin Siggy has left the session, so he will do no better than 19th position. But we're looking to the front of the field then, with David Tonizza. 1 corner to go, up through the gears, foot to the floor, about to cut the beam. Benito has gone ahead of him. Can he go back ahead of his teammate? Yes, he can, to the front row.
But it's Freddie Rasmussen who looks as though he's going to secure pole position. A 1 minute 18.6. If he can end this 2/10 ahead of Tonizza, that is going to be quite the performance. Brendan Lee to the line. Can he get involved in the top 5? No. 6th place, just behind the Williams, just in front of Fabrizio Donoso. Cedric Tomei in 8th, Sally Sautunk in 9th, 10th for Nicholas Longuet. And here's Patrick Holtzman into the pits, so that completes the runners, I think. Floris Vias went early, and yes, indeed, he has backed off. So it is Rasmussen on pole position, Tonizza in 2nd place, Floris Vias 3rd, Benito 4th, and, well, what a close lap time that is. 5th down to 10th is 0.5 of a second. Unbelievably tight. And we're going to see a fascinating race. It's going to be 25% race distance for this one. So we're still going to have a pit stop, I would have thought. We'll see what type of tyres they go with up at the front, whether they're all going to go with softs towards the front of the order. But in a field so tight, 5th through 10th, 0.5 of a second, Freddie Rasmussen on pole by 0.2.
Yeah, phenomenal lap from him, especially when you see the standard. There's not an obvious place where the drivers are lacking there, so that's got to be incremental all the way through the lap. Mega performance, but as we have seen, it can all come undone on that first lap of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. David Tonizza will be starting in second on the grid. Tom, I know you love Tonzilla. You'll be looking for him to get involved in the fight for the lead.
I will do, but from prior experience of watching someone like Freddie Rasmussen, when he has the lead, he doesn't let that slip ever, does he, Matt?
No, he's fantastic. What a lap. Like, just as a little statistic, that lap is exactly the same pretty much as the #1 time trial for that track at all. So any lap ever round that track on this game, 18.6. So he's done as quick as anyone's ever gone round there.
Indeed. I just got to ask, Jack, if I was to ask for Formula E tickets, any particular Grand Prix, would that be a possibility?
Ask Vernon Kay.
OK, right, great. Good callback to a previous chat we've had. Alex, you thoroughly enjoyed watching that race and comparing that to what we saw earlier on with the F1 Virtual Grand Prix in Vietnam. These guys are incredibly and so consistent, aren't they?
The margin for error is absolutely tiny. I'm just so impressed with the laps that we saw there. It was superb, really excellent stuff. And to see the drivers from Formula One be pretty impressive. Phenomenal performance from Charles Leclerc, but then to see how much further the Pro Sim drivers can take it, majestic stuff.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to leave it with you, gentlemen. Turn 1 is going to be electric. Rasmussen, do you think he's going to hold on as I pass over to you?
Well, let's find out, shall we? That's why we go racing, rather than just time trialling. So fascinated to see what Freddie Rasmussen can do from pole position. Tonizza second. Floris Fiers starting in third place for the Haas team. Very good lap. He's been involved in the F1 Esports Pro Series a bit over the last couple of years, but I don't think we've seen him qualify this far forwards. Here comes the race then. The F1 Esports race about to get underway, and it's a pretty decent start from Freddie Rasmussen on pole position in the Red Bull. David Tonizza alongside him on the run down into turn 1. Viers goes to the outside at the first corner in the Haas. Does he pull it off? They're still side by side coming down towards turn 3. Bit of front wing flying from someone. Viers to the outside again at turn 3. Can't do anything about it. He needs to be careful because he's got Enzo Benito right behind him in the other Ferrari. Brendan Lee has got up into 5th position, but then spins. I think that was the Mercedes facing backwards. Brendan Lee plummets down the order. The 2-time champ out of the running. Freddie Rasmussen in the lead.
Wow, that is exactly what Freddie Rasmussen would have wanted. A dream getaway, nearly 0.8 of a second ahead, and we've heard already that when he gets into the lead, he is difficult to shift. And meanwhile, we saw the battle for second position far more intense than the battle for the lead. So now, can Tonizza do anything to take the battle back to the front? We're on board with Enzo Benito at the moment. This is 4th position on the opening lap of 15. Pit stop still required, but right now it's advantage Rasmussen.
Looks as though most of the front runners have started on the soft compound of tyre. As you say, we're on board with Enzo Benito running in that 4th spot. Cedric Tomé in 5th position. German, but French surname, hence the pronunciation of the accent. And we're coming through the final corner now and out onto the start-finish straight. And is that Tomé with damage? I think it is. So I saw a bit of debris flying at the first corner. It may well have been Cedric Tomé, and he's been forced to pit at the end of lap 1. Real shame, but at least I explained how to pronounce his name. Lap 2 of 15.
Tonizza already out of DRS range and looking in his mirrors instead. Floris closing in as Rasmussen tries to break clear, tries to do an impression of what we've seen earlier today from Charles Leclerc. And he's got a run outside of DRS range at the moment. Tonizza will have to regroup and try and take the fight ahead, or it could just be a battle for second position. James Baldwin was in the pits as well, along with Haddad.
Yeah, shame for James Baldwin, winner of the world's fastest gamer. In fact, both of the Alfa Romeos into the pits on the opening lap. Daniel Berejnay and James Baldwin having to pit, and they're both out of the running. So not a good day for the Veloce gang as we go on board with Enzo Benito in 4th place. 0.3 of a second behind Floris Fiers on the run down into turn 13. Then it is Michael Romanidis running in 5th position ahead of Nicolas Longuet, but only just 0.3 of a second between them. Sally Saltunki is running in 7th place. Marcel Kiefer 8th. Fabrizio Donoso in 9th place. Alvaro Caraton, the Spaniard for Williams, completes the top 10.
As we go back on board with Enzo Benito, and he's got an opportunity as we go on to lap number 3 then. The fastest lap changing all the time. As everyone gets up to pace, as you can see on the red-walled soft tyre. Is there an opportunity here? Not quite. As they go under braking. Vijay's getting closer to Tonizza than Benito is able to do so. And Tomei up to 15th position as Kevin Siggy comes into the pits.
Yeah, he's the first of the pitters, isn't he? Not sure what happened to... Oh no, Bono Huis is still in the pack, isn't he? Yeah, so Bono Huis last in the pack at the moment. Felt like he was starting to get back on board with the F1 game last year. Towards the end of the season, was running in the top 5, but then has slipped away a little bit and has turned his attention back to some other games in recent weeks. Now he's back on F1 2019, and you can't overestimate the difference in jumping between these games all the time. It really is. It's kind of like jumping into a different race car each week. When you see drivers do that so impressively, the same is true here. Freddie Rasmussen leading still, David Tonizza second, Floris Vias third, Enzo Benito in fourth, then a bit of a gap back to Michael Romanidis in the Williams in 5th position, under pressure from Nicolas Longuet as we come through to start lap 4 of 15, diving into the pits there for Fabrizio Donoso Delgado. So I think that might be a strategical one for Donoso Delgado. I don't think it was for Cedric Tomei. He went in a bit too early for my liking, lap 4 of 15, might be wrong. Floris Vias very close to Tonizza for second. Is he going to make a move? Tonizza covers the inside. Ferrari still in second spot.
Yeah, on the wrong part of the racetrack with the right sort of gap at that point. He'll try and regroup and hope that he has an opportunity. This is the nature that we see in real life with these racetracks. You just have to wait now. Has an opportunity into the chicane, but that is a super risky move, and he knows it. Not close enough for the lunge. He will be hoping for later in the lap that he has the momentum down into turn 13. Right now, hugely committed, but Tonizza has the answer at this stage.
Freddie Rasmussen, 1.7 seconds out in front in the Red Bull. Tonizza second, the little beep, meaning Vias can open his DRS on the run down to 13. Joni Torman has been given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for exceeding the track limits. That'll come into effect in his pit stop. So Tormala in 11th place, expect him to be a little bit lower down once the pit stops cycle through, because he will lose time in the pits. None of these drivers up at the front going for the undercut just yet as we come across the line to start lap 5 of 15. As I say that, Michael Romanidis in the Williams pits. He was running in 5th place, a little bit off the rest.
5-second penalty for Tormala for speeding in the pit lane. So frustration there for one of the Red Bulls. As we go back to this engrossing battle for second place, it's becoming a 3-car battle as the reigning champion right now falling backwards away from the race lead. The race lead now 1.8 seconds, pretty much getting away from undercut range as they judge it beautifully and head once again to the chicane. Still though, Tonizza able to stay ahead.
Lap 5 of 15 in this F1 Esports Pro Series exhibition race on the streets of Albert Park in Melbourne. Overcast day in Australia, not ideal, but we're getting, oh, a bit of a mistake there. Enzo Benito took too much curb on the inside, got out of shape, but luckily for him, Nicolas Longuet is 1.2 seconds back. So he's just about managed to get away with that one. Sally Sautuk, I think, has made a mistake because Marcel Kiefer has got past him and up into 6th position. Anyone pitting this time around? Tonizza in, Vias in as well.
So I wondered whether Vias was going to be able to be patient there. In the end, it's about hitting your marks in the pit stop.
Surprised he didn't do the opposite to whatever Tonizza did, but he didn't. So there we are. But I guess he's got cars so close behind him that he can't afford to get undercut himself. So Freddie Rasmussen leads, has yet to stop. Enzo Benito in second, has yet to stop. Sally Sautuk in third. Scott Lucas Blakely is up into 4th, and the Scot has yet to stop, and nor has Bono Huis. You can see we're on board with Lucas Blakely. He started on the medium compounded tyre. I imagine the same is true of Bono, and Fabrizio Donoso Delgado running in 6th position then. And
meanwhile, at the front, having the time of his life right now, Freddie Rasmussen going very, very nicely indeed. And we've got a change on board with David Tonizza. And Flores has got past.
So Flores Viers then ahead of David Tonizza. They're up behind Fabrizio Donoso now as they swing through the right-hander. Fabrizio Donoso Delgado hasn't pitted yet, had drama earlier on, didn't he? So that's why he's still on the soft compounded tyre, and that's why he's about to get overtaken here. But how hard is he going to fight Viers? And can Tonizza try and take advantage of that? Here they come, out onto the run towards turn 13. Is Donoso going to defend? He certainly is, making Viers go the long way round, and Viers is going to try and go the long way round. What a brilliant move. Floris Viers waiting no time, and he's up into 6th position. But now Freddie Rasmussen and Enzo Benito pit, so we're about to see the battle for the race lead. Can Floris Viers get involved in the fight? David Tonizza lost a little bit of time trying to get past Fabrizio Donoso, who ended up coming into the pits. Where is Rasmussen? There's the Red Bull. No, there's the Ferrari. My apologies. So Rasmussen holds the lead. Viers is 2nd. Tonizza 3rd. Michael Romanidis in the Williams has gone up into 6th place ahead of Enzo Benito, who has gone from 4th to 7th. Make that 8th in this pit stop window because Longuet has got through. He's now got back ahead of Longuet, but that's 3 places lost during this. No, my apologies, because Huis and Blakely are yet to pit, haven't they? But Rasmussen, it is in the lead. Viers 2nd, Tonizza 3rd.
Absolutely superb stuff all the way through. First of all, Flores super brave to tough it out around the outside. Tonizza losing out, not as much as the drive we're on board with at the moment, though. Enzo Benito really struggling and finding himself coming out in a sea of traffic. It's not traffic to be lapped. They're battling for race position right now, but strategy all important there. Rasmussen, though, able to maintain that around 2-second gap that he had. And right now, he's in a pretty decent position. Here's Longuet trying to fight back down the inside. That could end in tears, and he had to back out of it. Might leave him vulnerable to Kiefer behind.
Lap 8 of 15. Lucas Blakely and Bono Huis still staying out, having started on a different compound of tyre. And they do another lap on their mediums. We're on board with Nicolas Longuet, trying to close in on Enzo Benito in front. Down the start-finish straight towards turn 1. This is for a net 5th position, ultimately, that Benito is in. Sorry for the pause, I had to physically count.
Which is never what you want to do on it.
Turns out I can't do 7 minus 2. Why didn't I just do 7 minus 2? Anyway.
The inner thoughts of a commentator mid-race. Longuet trying to close in on Benito. Benito had good pace. It'd be really frustrating that it's not worked out for him with that pit stop window. And Tonizza does not appear to be able to keep pace with the driver he was trying to keep behind earlier on. So right now, good if you're Rasmussen. Blakely and Huis have to pit, but it is very, very tight between this pack that you can see. One lockup, and you're heading back 3 places.
Yep, they're all queued up behind Michael Romanidis in the Williams, a newcomer to the F1 Esports Pro Series, running in 6th spot at the moment, but surely not for Enzo Benito up the inside into turn 13. Romanidis didn't even get the chance to cover the inside line, slots in into what is currently 7th position. Lucas Blakely and Bono Huis come into the pits this time around then, so that'll promote Freddie Rasmussen back into the lead of the race as we start lap 9 of 15 on the streets of Melbourne. Rasmussen across the line then, in the lead. 2nd place is Floris Viers, 3rd is David Tonizza, 4th is Enzo Benito, 5th is Michael Romanidis, and we're on board with the 6th place Renault of Nicolas Longuet, the young Frenchman, trying to make a move as they come down towards turn 3. They've both got DRS, so he needs a bit of slipstream, can't quite get it, and he won't be able to get around the outside there.
Yeah, don't want to position the car on the outside, would have left him vulnerable. He knew it, tucks back in. It's been a good lap for David Tonizza, closing in Viers, and he is just under half a second away. So maybe a mistake ahead for Floris Viers, but the battle for 2nd place getting very, very heated at the moment. Not as heated as this, though. Longuet darting left, darting right, looking for a way through. Is he going to try it into the chicane? There's just not enough of a braking zone there. So it's all about the exit as they head onto Lakeside Drive. Benito ahead of Romanidis. Then we're on board with Nicolas Longuet, and he's tucked in. How much curb dare he take? First part, 2nd part, leaning on it heavily. Doesn't want to be kicked to the inside wall like we saw multiple times in the esports DRS, but the man ahead of him has it as well. Still late on the brakes and looking for the position. That is bold, and that is brilliant stuff from Longuet to move up to 5th.
Lovely move from the Renault driver. Frenchman up into 5th spot. And now Romanides gets done by Marcel Kiefer as well. So 2 places in 3 corners lost for the Williams driver. Longuet really decisive, and he's still within a second of Enzo Benito. David Tonizza is within half a second of Floris Viers in the battle over 2nd place. We're on board with Sally Saltunk as he swings into the first corner. Opens the DRS, tries to battle with Romanides and Kiefer on the run down into turn 3. Lucas Blakely has joined the fight, and Lucas Blakely in the Racing Point is going to be on the soft compounded tyre because he stayed out longer, so he might have a chance to take all of these drivers. Freddie Rasmussen leading, though, 2.5 seconds in the lead up at the front.
He's the only one in control right now. Everyone else would be pretty worried. They don't have the setup that they normally have for esports, where you're not too far away from your competition, maybe only a foot away, but they're all at home because of the situation that we have across the world right now. And right now, Lucas Blakely with that advantage of tyre compound, but it's not an easy track to overtake on. Here's a great opportunity for him, though, in a DRS zone. The drivers ahead all have that DRS as well. Can he do what we saw here a lap ago? No, he can't, and he will have to bide his time, knowing that he's only got a few laps left in which to make that tyre advantage count.
Wow, you saw how much more grip he had coming into turn 14. That gives him the inside line for 15. They're going to be side by side through 16. He's got more grip on the soft tyre. He's still alongside Sally Saltunk, and Saltunk has to drop back into the slipstream. He'll come back on the attack, though, down towards turn 1. No, he won't. So great move from Lucas Blakely on the soft tyres. He could get a top 5 if he really works hard, but a good 6th or 7th might be doable for the Scot. Bono Huis is the other driver who did that manoeuvre, but his pace in the first stint wasn't good enough. As a result, he's 2.5 seconds away from Patrick Holtzman in 11th place, so things not working out for Bono Huis. Freddy Rasmussen leading the way, but Floris Viers is just 2/10 behind David Tonizza, the Ferrari ahead of the Haas as they come down into the right-hander of turn 9.
So Tonizza kept his head after the pit stops there, didn't get downhearted, has found his way back through, and Viers has got to try and respond. We're on board with it now as he tries to do so. Through the fast chicane, what sort of exit can he get? It's decent. You hear the beat for the DRS. Will we see a move? No DRS for Tonizza ahead, but he's got the confidence. He's got 2nd position at the moment. He did not panic when things went wrong. And when Lucas Blakely started that series of moves, I was thinking, that is risky. That's going to lose you time. But to make that tyre compound advantage pay, he's going to have to do unusual moves if he's going to clear the drivers ahead, who will all be slower than him. But it's a tough track to overtake. We go to turn 1. No move this time.
Lap 12 of 15 in the F1 Esports Pro Series exhibition race. Around the streets of Albert Park. Freddie Rasmussen leading. David Tonizza is in 2nd, but we're on board with 3rd place man Floris Viers, who looks like he has a little bit more speed than Tonizza. Tonizza just sliding around a little bit compared to Viers, but Viers not close enough to make a move in the Haas.
So I don't think we saw this move take place, but I think we're going to see it if it swaps round again. Back to the never-ending battle that starts with Longuet. There's a dive to the inside with Lucas Blakely. Again, every single move he's going to make at a non-obvious overtaking position is going to risk the car. But these risks right now paying off.
This is really good stuff from Blakely. 7/10 back to Marcel Kiefer, who gets a bit out of shape, actually. Coming through the quick left-right. And he's going to be on the back of Longuet before too long, who's right on the back of Enzo Benito. Viers is still on the back of David Tonizza. We're about to start lap 13 of the race, which will mean 3 laps to go. I can count that one on my fingers easily enough. And this is Michael Romanides then, who was running in 5th place before the pit stop windows, but now the Williams driver dropping back a little bit into the clutches of Sally Saltunk. Still nothing doing between Tonizza and Viers in 2nd and 3rd. Still, this man, Nicolas Longuet, right behind Enzo Benito in the battle for 4th.
Longuet, who had to watch from the sidelines for most of last year, and that, if you speak to a driver like Esteban Ocon, who had to do a very similar thing, hugely frustrating. Now he's got his opportunity and he's hunting for a major position. Benito in fourth and judging things perfectly, but it does appear that Longuet has that better overall pace at the moment. Nothing between Floris Viers and David Tonizza either in the battle for second place, which you're looking at right now as they head to the rapid chicane one more time.
Yeah. Nicholas in no rush, is he, at the moment in fifth place? He's playing the long game.
It's worth the 13-lap wait for that one, mate.
I hadn't planned that one either. This is all just off the top of my head, Jakesy. Lap 13 of 15. On board with Viers. Down into the penultimate corner. Here is Blakely. Is he going to try and do Kiefer at the penultimate corner? Thinks about it,
didn't he? Thought that might be on. Instead, he might have to go conventional here. So he's been all over the road. The problem is that whilst you hear the beat there for DRS, Kiefer has the DRS as well, and that is rather stemming progress right now. But Longuet, I think Benito, that is getting closer and closer, and if you're right now, if you're Blakely, you're wanting this one to end in tears. Let's see if it does with Longuet trying to go to the inside. Benito trying to stay in that position, and he hangs on to fourth for the moment, but he's not been a part of the racetrack that he wants to be in. Can he gather it all together? This is, oh, can he use the advantage there? That's a risky move. Somehow they both get through the corner. Somehow Enzo Benito still in fourth, but look at the two behind, Kiefer and Blakely closing in.
Longuet goes for it again. We're on board with Marcel Kiefer. A little bit of a nudge between them. Benito holds on to fourth position. Just such great racing in esports. I absolutely love it. No real racing at the moment, but this is as close as you get. No real world racing, but these guys are really racing hard. It's all the battle for fourth place, and there goes Blakely up the inside of Marcel Kiefer. He's got a great run through 11 and 12. Longuet is up into fourth, Benito into fifth, down to fifth, Blakely up into sixth position, and the race leader Freddy Rasmussen is about to start the final lap of the race. Longuet goes in deep into the left-hander at 15. This could be the opportunity for Enzo Benito to get back up into fourth position as they start the final lap. Just one more run down into the first corner. Viers isn't close enough to Tonizza. Benito is up the inside. He's back into fourth position, but for how much longer? A little bit wide there from Longuet. Can Blakely take advantage in the racing point? What a storming drive Lucas Blakely is having. Not quite close enough to make the move. Bono Huis is suddenly up into 10th position as he passes Sally Sautunk. Final lap of the race.
Bono Huis has that tyre compound advantage, and he's able to get into the top 10 with it. We've already seen a fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, the Renault, little bit of a nudge. Benito will know he's there. He will be checking the mirrors right now. There's a big train if this one goes wrong to ready. Desperate to take advantage, but Longuet down to fifth position. Benito has fourth. Blakely with that tyre compound advantage, but nothing he can do at the moment. Nothing between these two then. Little bit of a lift there because he didn't have the room to use the momentum he had, and if Enzo Benito can pick that breaking point, I think it might be fourth place for the Ferrari driver, unless we see something sensational. That's bold again from Longuet, but he hasn't got the track position. Benito hangs on.
Oh, Benito's gone wide. Longuet's through up into fourth place, Blakely up into fifth. Benito drops down to sixth position. Freddie Rasmussen wins the race. Tonizza across the line in second, third for Floris Viers, fourth across the line for Nicholas Longuet after a brilliant race. Lucas Blakely a storming drive up into fifth position. Romanides in sixth. Enzo Benito on the last lap dropping all the way down to 10th position, having been in contention for a podium. Here's James Baldwin out of the final corner in 14th, but Freddie Rasmussen the winner, 2.5 seconds ahead of David Tonizza. Viers in third. And what a great battle it was for fourth position at the end there. Nicholas Longuet with a brilliant drive. He forced Benito into that mistake, basically, didn't he? Because he went to the outside at 13. Going to get all the way around the outside at 13, but it made Benito run wide.
Yeah, forced into a part of the racetrack he didn't want to go to. What a phenomenal race.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely phenomenal race there. Didn't have a battle for the lead, but we had a battle for every other position there. That was absolutely outstanding. And a tip of the hat to Blakely as well. He really charged through brilliantly. That was great stuff. I loved it.
Yeah, good. Did you love it, Thomas?
Very much. I've just realised I'm perfectly matched for the backdrop. Just realised that. Yes, fabulous race. Watching you two up there, that's scintillating. I mean, the big train that was forming, incredible driving from like the 4th down to about 8th place. I mean, Lucas Blakely, amazing. Freddie Rasmussen, I'm going to call him bougie because he always delivers, and he definitely did win it based on having such a great lead. But phenomenal race. How did you see it, Matt?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been far too long since we've seen F1 Esports drivers absolutely hammer and tong. You know, it's been absolutely fantastic. Another person, Vigers, where's he come from? You know, usually, you know, he's quite upset with the fact that, you know, he's not been able to perform on the stage. Maybe that comes back to my point before the race about not feeling as much pressure in the comfort of their own home. But he certainly performed, and we can believe him if he ever has an excuse moving forward that he actually does have the pace, just maybe not under the lights. But what an amazing, amazing race. Obviously, Rasmussen, the battle for the lead, there wasn't really one because Rasmussen, unbelievable qualifying and then checked out, which a lot of us thought we'd see as well. But the battle for second place and then all the way down, just look at the gaps. You can see it's lap 2 and there's a couple of seconds between about 8 of them, which is absolute madness. And it just shows how close they are.
Yeah, Cedric Tomei, a bit of a collision, some damage on his car, had to pit early. He'll be frustrated with that. Veloce's Daniel Berezny pulling out of the race. I can only imagine from a previous episode of the F1 Esports Pro Series where he broke a pedal, his brake pedal. That might have happened. We don't know. Get confirmation on that?
No, he tweeted, actually. He said that there was a car facing the wrong way on the racing line. So I think he had some sort of contact this time.
Okay.
But yeah, he has braked many brake pedals.
And Brendan Lee, former champion. Anyway, let's not dwell on them down in the bottom of the order, but just back and forth. And also a new Williams driver for the esports team, Michael.
You've got a pronunciation.
Romanides. Romanides. I was just Romanides. I'm going to say
that immediately, didn't you?
Regretted it absolutely. So MR for Williams and Alvaro Carreton, but he steps up into this, and I think what we've noticed from this, the F1 esports teams, they will see how fast their drivers are. And I tell you what, if that's anything to go by, I want to see more of this back again, competitive racing each and every week like we have with the F1 Esports Pro Series, because it's so neck and neck.
So close. I mean, this track was really great as well, so flowing, so close in pace. But it's also great to see that some of the changes that the teams have made have worked. So, for example, FDA Hublot, you know, both of those guys, the Ferrari Driver Academy, you've got Enzo Benito, he finished in 10th, but he showed some heart right to the very end. You can see he runs wide. I think he had a penalty as well. That's why he ended up in 10th. But it's just great to see that, you know, they've got that pairing now that can definitely take it to the front, to the field for next season.
Yeah, I mean, and Lucas Blakely, we know, brilliant driver, got picked in the pro draft last season, emotional, tears came out just because they want it that much. And I think putting an example of how good their driving is and how much they push themselves, it's just brilliant to see, and I want to see more of it. Interesting, Flores Valles, yes, we saw from Haas, the esports team, they really struggled to be anywhere near the top, but is there a lot of amount of races where they've got their own setup rig that really helps them?
Yeah, it does, because that's where they put the majority of their hours in, apart from, you know, potentially the top esports teams. They'll have facilities where they go in and train every day, but usually, you know, you just have the comfort of everything around you. You know, you have your teddy bears and your mascots and, you know, you just feel at home.
Familiarities,
you feel more,
I guess.
Yeah, exactly, and you feel more relaxed. So that's where you can really get the top potential.
Yeah, so just where we're actually sat, normally they've got the rigs up, and Flores Valles would literally be here. Now we've got him on a chat. Flores, you must be very happy with the way you performed and finally able to show everybody in the community how fast you are.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm really, really happy about what I performed today, P3. Never would have thought it before, but yeah, really happy about the result for Haas.
Yeah, indeed. And what would you put this result down to? Is it the hours you're putting in? Is it a different setup? Talk us through it, Flores. Come on, there must be a reason.
It's both hours and setup, because yeah, setup on this game is really important, and it seems like last year I didn't got the optimal setup, and now now practicing for more hours, I got like the right setup. And yeah, it shows off right now.
Indeed. Well, yeah, P3. Obviously, the boss will be calling you ASAP to say we always believed in you, Flores. How much sort of help and work have they been doing with you behind the scenes?
Amazing, a lot. Yeah, from like pep talking me to set up tips and tricks. They help a lot. Yeah, I couldn't thank them more than where I'm at right now.
And we've got to talk about Freddie Rasmussen. Matt and I were sort of thinking, are we going to have to talk to the winner, Freddie Rasmussen, because he's just ice cold. He delivers all the time. How are people going to be able to beat him?
Be as cold as him. Like, that's the only thing that's the only thing I can say. Be as cold as him. He's a really quick driver. He puts a lot of hours in the game, and yeah, as you see in his driving style, he's like really smooth and something like that. It's like, yeah, really credits to him how he drives.
Floris, just a quick one from me. I've mentioned about home comforts and feeling just slightly more relaxed. Do you feel like that's helped you tonight in order to be able to get that max performance rather than being under the lights with lots of people watching you?
Yeah, I think it helped massively, and also the qualifying. Because last year in Pro Series, P3 and ended on P3. So yeah, that's also a massive point of improvement.
Yeah, so obviously Freddie Rasmussen in first, and then David Tonizza, he's kind of the guy to beat from the 2019 F1 Esports Pro Series. Are we expecting then to see you soon in that competition and competing with the likes of David Tonizza and Freddie Rasmussen week after week?
As you see right now, I am, but I'm going to train for it to pass David Tonizza and probably, hopefully, challenge for the title next year.
Well, listen, we love to hear that sort of enthusiasm and excitement going into the next season. Floris, congratulations tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Floris Weiss, it is very important getting that set up, setting up just as you like it. But then you have to come and deliver when you come to the Gfinity Arena as well. But this will give him a lot of confidence. Absolutely, yeah. Let's not take it away, this performance that he's proved that he is a top racer. And especially when we see, you know, Melbourne is such a close track, but he was all over the back of David Tonizza, couldn't quite get him at the end. But, you know, he's racing with the previous champ, so that's going to give him a lot of confidence. He's just going to have to do a lot of training for the rest of the tracks as well. Indeed. I wonder what the Discord chat will be like right now between those drivers when that train was happening.
Well,
because
if it's Rasmussen, it'll be probably silent. But...
Well, Rasmussen doesn't need to talk, but it's the other guys. There's nothing to separate these guys, is there?
No, and yeah, they're a close community. They all race with each other. As much as they're part of different teams, they'll still be bantering with each other. Again, maybe not Freddie, but, you know, most of them are, you know, chatting, maybe not swapping setups as much, but they all know each other and they know how quick they all are. Yeah, now, Enzo Benito, a first race for FDA Hublot Esports team, he pushed it and let David Tonizza, we know how special of a driver he is, but he could be a really good component to add to that FDA Hublot Esports team. Yeah, Enzo's very similar to Bono Huis that I mentioned earlier. He's such an all-rounder. He's so good at every single racing game he picks up. I'm very envious of him. But, you know, he's definitely a great fit for that team because, again, as I say, they struggled last year. They've got a very strong lineup this year. As I say, didn't get the result we wanted tonight, but he had that heart and he had the pace, so I'm sure they'll be happy. OK, now, I love to speculate. Brendan Lee crashing out of the game, unfortunately, in the race. What do we make of this? Is it, again, after 2019, we were expecting him to be up there or thereabouts, and it didn't happen. I'm not looking at this one race to say, yes, that he's way off the pace, but that must begin to tick and play over in his head as well, that he's not quite where he wants to or knows he can be. Yeah, it's an interesting one because we were singing his praises for a few years and then he's kind of fallen off the boil a little bit, and it's unfortunate to see that because, you know, we know how good Brendan is. He's completely ice cold, as we would have said about Rasmussen now. So I don't know what he needs to find in himself. Has he lost the love for the game to put in the intense amount of hours that he put in last time? I don't know. Only he knows what's missing. OK, another driver who definitely showed what he's capable of with the fastest lap. Bono Huis, I believe you're there. How did you find that race?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, it was really difficult. It was quite a late call to race, so barely had any prep, so it's very difficult when you come up against this kind of competition. Qualifying was all about the last run, really. Was going well until I had an off track. And then, yeah, you just know where, so your last, basically, P18 it was. Then the start was big chaos, so I tried to make it through safely, but I got front wing damage. So had mega understeer since lap 1 and had no pace. I had no idea how I got the fastest lap, how I got P8 at the end, because I was just absolutely nowhere. But there was just so much chaos up front, and yeah, got through it in the end.
You did indeed get through it. Not much prep time. Were you surprised with how you were able to keep up with the pace? And I tell you what, we've been complimenting the drives from everyone tonight. It really is that exciting.
Yeah, like I said, late call, but the pace was there. It's just really difficult to do it consistently when you don't have that prep. So, but yeah, it was a good show. It was amazing to see that that train at the end. It was good to catch up on that and then to try and make some moves. So I had fun at the end.
Well, listen, Bono, lovely chatting to you. I know we have to wrap up the show, but fantastic to chat to you, and congratulations on getting the fastest lap in that race.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
There you go. Bono Huis, Floris Vires, we've spoken to both of them. Everyone walks away from this feeling probably very happy. They're probably continuing to stream right now on their Twitch and let their fans and the people that watch them know how good of a race that was. We definitely want to see more of that in the next race, don't we, Matt?
Absolutely. It'd be good to see Daniel Beresnay. We didn't really see him at all because he had some contact. But to get all of the guys at the front, I'm sure the ones maybe that didn't finish so highly will be particularly happy. But we had such a great race. I know the commentators up there, you know, they absolutely loved it, Jack and Alex. So, you know, yeah, they're fist pumping right now. So, you know, it was awesome to see. It's been so long since we've seen the action like that, and I can't wait for the next one. Yeah, there's definitely chemistry up in that commentary area. Listen, so the next virtual Grand Prix is going to be taking place in Shanghai. That's going to be happening on the 19th of April. This is the track. Matt, we know it's one of your favourites. Yeah. Which is the area that you're most looking forward to? All of that train happening again. Yeah, it's going to be chaos into turn one. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 wide going into there, and I'm sure they're not all going to come out at the same time, but let's see. But yeah, China, great track. Cannot wait to see how close they're going to be around there, because Australia was mental. Yeah, it was indeed. And before that, we had Bahrain in 2 weeks before that. In the meantime, though, we potentially, and I'm very excited about this, might have another hashtag challenge an F1 driver. That potentially will be happening this coming Sunday, but don't forget, definitely concrete virtual Grand Prix in Shanghai. That will be happening on April the 19th. Just enough time to say thank you very much for watching. I'm turning that way up to go and have a thank you to Jack and to Alex. A cheeky little wave there happening. Thank you very much. I look forward to having them back. Fingers crossed they both get to come back. But don't forget the F1 Esports Pro Exhibition. Well, it's debatable whether you're both going to come back. I don't know whether the commentary was flying. To them. And listen, a massive thank you to Matt Gallagher. We will see you in 2 weeks' time on the 19th of April for the Virtual Grand Prix in Shanghai. Until then, make sure you stay safe and coming back in 2 weeks' time to join us. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All 5 lights are on.
It's all to race for.
Lovely work coming out of the hairpin. Yes! Oh, he's hit him. Oh, he's taken 2.